What is good, people? Welcome back to my channel. So Showbizz the Adult, a huge YouTuber who makes content for the Ring Magazine YouTube page where he gets to interview pound for pound greats like Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney. But not too many people know he's one of the OGs of Undisputed when he was one of the 5 original people who were invited to the Undisputed studios to test out the game way back then, even before early access. He recently released a video discussing the comeback of Fight Night Champion and how likely he thinks it is, and today we're going to give it a listen, give our thoughts and feelings, and see if there's any information to deduce from this. Also, make sure you stay to the end because I will include a discussion from the Ring Magazine podcast where Max Kellerman himself speaks on this topic and gives some validity to these claims. So let's get into it.
That's what champions do, Andre. They get back up.
I am 99.99999999999% sure that not only is Fight Night coming back, but the development of Fight Night will be announced very soon. Why? Because of this. The largest buyout in private equity buyout history. EA Sports selling their company for $55 billion.
Yeah, so just in case you guys weren't aware, as of September 29th, 2025, EA were brought out for £55 billion.
Now listen, why is that important? Why is that important when it comes to Fight Night? Because the buyers was an investment group, and a big portion of that investment group is Saudi Arabia. And why is that important? Because who is the biggest and most influential investor in boxing right now? His Excellency, Turki Al-Sheikh. And what did Turki Al-Sheikh say as one of 2 of the most important things when it comes to improving the current condition of the sport of boxing?
I want to tell you something. There is 2 things I am focusing on with the situation of boxing. The first thing I want to do and have very good and powerful game.
The
video
video
games, yeah. The last game was from 10 years. Yeah. Because, you know, some big company doesn't want to do game for boxing for different reasons, you know, for supporting another sport. Some big company doesn't want to do game for boxing for different reasons, you know, for supporting another sport.
Yeah, this is absolutely huge news in the progress of possibly getting a Fight Night champion. Turki Al-Sheikh himself has already expressed that he's creating his own video game. He was making it with the SMK guy who made Fatal Fury previously. But now that he's acquired EA and he has the license into Fight Night, which is the biggest combat sports brand in the world, I would argue, he can now focus his attention on rebranding that game, re-releasing that game. And as you heard him say, one of his biggest goals is to bring back the boxing game. I think it's one of the most important things you can do to improve the growth of a sport in a youth culture. I myself fell in love with boxing through video games. My boxing heroes I fell in love with through the game. I became a huge fan of Mike Tyson, a huge fan of Muhammad Ali through the games. I became a huge fan of Bruce Lee later in life through playing UFC games. I know how video games are incredibly important in creating an interest in a specific sport. And I cannot stress this enough. I believe the more boxing games there are, the better it is for all of us. Once there's competition, the stuff that companies think they can get away with, they no longer can get away with. They each compete to be the best game and sell the most copies. So more boxing games there are, the better quality of games we will be getting. It's just a positive.
I get it. Game, set, match. Fight Night will be coming back. Oh, wait, and how can we forget this? Saudi Arabia, they are not by themselves and buying out EA Sports for $55 billion. Another investment group that's a part of that buyout is managed by Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner, not the son-in-law of the president, Donald Trump. Yes, Donald Trump. The same Donald Trump who used to partner with Don King in the 80s and the 90s in promoting boxing matches. That's right. He was a part of many boxing promotions out there in Atlantic City, one of which being Mike Tyson versus Michael Spinks.
He leads to the right hand. Down he goes.
Other fights like Evander the Real Deal Holyfield versus Big George Foreman. Must I say, Donald Trump loves boxing. Fight night is coming back. Game, set, match.
That is a huge reach, bro. I don't see the correlation. What does being a boxing promoter have to do with the boxing game? Like, Eddie Hearn is a boxing promoter. He doesn't make boxing games. I don't understand. Donald Trump was interested in live boxing, not video game boxing. I don't think he's expressed any interest in video game boxing. On top of that, it's not even Donald Trump himself. It's his son-in-law. So that to me is a huge reach.
Listen, the thing about His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh is he has experience in investing in boxing gaming already. He invested in Undisputed. And regardless of how you feel about Undisputed, if you like it or not, the most important thing is His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh has gotten his toe wet in the boxing gaming industry. He has looked at Undisputed, he sees the pros, he sees the cons, what they did right, what they did wrong, and he can take that experience moving forward for this Fight Night project.
See, that right there is the only issue that I have. Why would Turki Al-Sheikh, if he's already partnered with Undisputed, then start a company that will directly compete with his own company? That seems like it's against his interests, like financially. But that said, if you are part of both companies, then financially it makes no difference to you because you're winning on both ends. And like I said before, he is also creating a boxing game with the guy that made Fatal Fury, so there is that aspect. But that game seems to be more like an arcade game that's not supposed to directly compete with Undisputed. So that is the only thing that's giving me a reason to pause when it comes to Turki Al-Sheikh and Fight Night.
And listen, Turki, if you want this to be successful, I have an idea that will definitely make Fight Night successful. Now, we all know that gameplay is probably the most important thing, right? It is the most important thing, gameplay. And I've told you guys that I think the gameplay was better for Undisputed when they first released it on console, when they had the haymaker spamming. It was a lot of fun then. It was chaotic. It was brutal. But if you are a technical boxer like me, I was making those haymaker spammers pay. So I was very happy, and then quite quickly a lot of people complained, so they changed it.
I did previously make a response to that video he put out where I did not agree with him at the time that the game was better at full release, but since then the game has progressively got worse till now. I am at the point where I do think reverting it back to full release 1.0 would be the best thing for the game's health. I think the game, compared to its current state, was so much better at full release. Regardless of all of the power spamming and the push spamming and the hit stuns that would hold you in place, I would happily take that game where I can hit people that are right in front of me rather than the game right now where I miss from point blank and having to deal with a block that is just a bulletproof shield.
And I think it's just lost its popularity since, though it's still doing well. But for me, my idea on making the new Fight Night humongous and great for boxing and great for gamers, not just boxing fans. Because let's not get this twisted. In order for a game to be popular, everybody has to love it, okay? Not just people who are boxing pugilists who just love the game, but people who love playing games, period. Fighting games, period. Sports games.
Yeah, this is something I agree with a lot, and I believe the best example of this was UFC 2. This to me was the perfect example of a simcade game. It was arcade enough so that the casuals could pick up and play and get the fun out of just pressing buttons and button mashing and doing all of the over the top stuff, but it was sim enough that my actual fight IQ and my understanding of the sport would prevent them from cheesing against me, spamming against me, and being able to win. My fight IQ and gaming ability would be enough to overcome all of the casuals and the arcadey elements in the game working against me. And that's what I think any boxing game should be, really. I don't have a problem with cheese and exploits being in the game. What I have a problem with is if these cheese and exploits become the meta, and then the meta is so strong that even skill and your actual fight ability and your fight IQ aren't enough to overcome. I want it in the game, so if you're good at the game, you have actual boxing knowledge, you're using actual boxing techniques, that will overcome any exploits and any cheese.
Period. So I have two things I request. And listen, I got my action figures here of Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson. If you guys going to have legacy boxers in the game, get these guys right finally. Okay, I've seen these guys done many times, you know, on Fight Night, on UFC, and Muhammad Ali was on Undisputed. And though the graphics looked good on all these guys, I mean, to keep it real, the graphics, they really did it right. Really, it was Undisputed who did the gameplay of Muhammad Ali the best, right? If you look at the footwork and stuff like that and all those things, Undisputed actually nailed it. But I don't think any game has ever gotten Mike Tyson right. All right? I mean, the days of Mike Tyson punch out and stuff like that. I mean, the best I've seen Mike Tyson done was this Vegas game. I don't know what this was, like a gambling game, but I think all of the moves were preset in already, but that was the best Mike Tyson has ever been done. Pause. But
so unfortunately, Muhammad Ali won't be in any other combat sports game until at least 2037, so any hopes of him being in a Fight Night game is gone because they signed an exclusive contract. And I have to give credit where credit is due. Undisputed did get Muhammad Ali and a couple other fighters completely right, like perfect. Like Muhammad Ali's animations, from his footwork to his snapping jab, I love a beautiful. Same with Roy Jones Jr. and Emmanuel Augustus. Like when they get it right, they get it right. But I disagree with what he's saying when it comes to Mike Tyson. I actually think Fight Night Champion did a really good job with Mike Tyson. I found him very fun to use, very lifelike. His combinations with flow is very powerful. It was always fun. Yes, this gambling footage that they have is the best Mike Tyson footage I've ever seen. It looks like it's been mocapped or rotoscoped off of his actual fights and movements because it looks just like him. It's pretty beautiful. If they could implement that into the next Fight Night game or implement that into Undisputed for Mike Tyson, I think we'd all go crazy. And I pretty much agree with the sentiment behind what he's saying. What he's essentially saying is, if you're going to put these A-list superstar fighters into the game, make sure you go out your way to make them completely unique and feel and look how they actually fought in life. Don't give us the okie doke like Undisputed have been doing.
yeah, get these guys right. But that's not the thing I think will save the game. Let me tell you. What would make Fight Night, this new Fight Night, probably the best game in the world, would be an online career mode. Now, I have my ways on how to make the online career mode perfect. And if you guys are interested in a Showbizz the Adult consultant as being a part of the team, please, I am the first one to raise my hand and say me. Because I think in order to make games great, you have to be addicted to the game. And I think an online career mode would make people addicted to the game. And I'm talking about having the creator mode right to create your boxer starting out, and to have them go up in ranks with XP and all those things with certain drops and robes and music and all these things that you can do when they are actually growing and getting better and gaining more XP and just becoming interim champions and champions. I'm actually giving away too many ideas already.
Yeah, it seems to me like what you're describing is just simply OWC on Fight Night Champion, which is something I was completely shocked was not included in Undisputed, and definitely should be included if there is another Fight Night Champion game. This was one of the most popular game modes in Fight Night Champion. It was literally split into two different communities. You had like people that were solely head to head, and then people that were solely OWC. And the people that loved OWC were fanatics. Basically, OWC is where you create your own fighter from scratch. You create their likeness, their outfits, their ring walk. Then you give them an archetype. And then based on the archetype you give them, there's like skill caps for how good you can get, so that you don't come up against someone that's like 100 in every punch. That then you fight in the leaderboards and you work your way up, and then you can fight for belt. And I think there's 3 different belts in each weight class. And that was something that was very exciting. You just be grinding through the game, playing fighters over and over again, and then every now and then you just run into someone who's a belt holder, and it comes up on your screen. You fight them, and if you win, you take their belt. And I just couldn't understand why Undisputed didn't implement that into their game, because there are the type of people that love that sort of thing. They're grinding, they're creating their own characters, they're like fighting for the belts, and I think that would have appealed to a whole nother market. This is a staple of Fight Night, so I definitely expect it to be in their next game.
But more important than having real fighters in the game, I think, would be an online career mode. And I'm talking about building your career online up against other players who's trying to build their career online. And like I said, I'm not going to give away too many ideas, but if you guys, or when you guys start developing Fight Night, I'm throwing my name in the hat as a possible consultant for this online career mode. But let me know how you feel in the comments below. Showbizz the Adult. I'm out.
So that's the end of everything he had to say, and I will say that I do agree with him. Am I 99.99999% like he is? No, but I do think that now that the Saudis have taken over EA, they will be bringing boxing back to the community. The Saudis love boxing, and they have been actively trying to take over the boxing industry with Riyadh season, and I think they just started the TKO with Dana White. They don't care about money at the moment. They just care about building a brand and building awareness. So they just want boxing to grow as much as possible. And Turki Al-Sheikh already said he's making a boxing game, so he's definitely going to be looking into this. Unlike the previous people that made Fight Night games, the Saudis have a personal vested interest in boxing being successful, and they actually want a boxing game to come out. They also basically have an infinite amount of cash. So all of the things that used to make EA not want to deal with boxers, like the negotiations and the money, won't seem to be an issue. I do agree with Showbizz the Adult that a new Fight Night game is extremely likely. I'm going to pull up the podcast from Ring Magazine, so now let's hear what Max Kellerman's thoughts are on this subject.
There is an attempt being made to bring boxing to the level of the NFL and the NBA and Major League Baseball. There's a new boxing video game, by the way. Friday, Silver Lake, who's a shareholder in TKO, announced a partnership with the Public Investment Fund, Saudi Arabia, PIF, to take EA Sports private, right? And there's an idea that there could be a new boxing video game underway. There are the kinds of things happening in boxing now that have not happened in my lifetime. I'm 52 years old, okay? We're just not used to this sort of stuff. So I'm very excited by it, and and that's why I'm involved in it.
And there you have it, guys. That's straight from Max Kellerman's mouth himself. Now, if this doesn't make you believe that there could be possibly a new Fight Night or boxing game coming, then I don't know what could. Max Kellerman has the highest level of credibility in the boxing community when it comes to commentary. His time on First Take, I guarantee he built more bridges and more connections. It wouldn't surprise me if he has a plug, if he has an inside source to information. It wouldn't surprise me if he's been in the room with these sort of people and they've said, yo, we're going to buy this company. This is our vision. We envision a boxing game coming. Does this mean it's 100% fact it's going to happen? No. But for me, this is definitely a positive sign in the right direction. Okay? But if that said, guys, it's going to bring us to the end of the video. But I want to know what you have to say. Let me know in the comment section below. Do you think it's likely that a new Fight Night game will come? Do you think the Saudis will make a bit of difference? Are you excited for a new Fight Night, or are you happy for Undisputed? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content I got coming your way, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.